Hey guys, I don't know what I'm going to name this podcast until after I get done recording, but coming back after a long third quarter break, I wanted to record something I loved. I think my friend Kathleen Soedel is the most interesting and literally fascinating person when it comes to her life decisions and how she views life as a whole, so I thought this was the perfect thing to kind of get me back into it. A little bit about Kathleen is that she has played soccer all of her life, but pretty much hated it towards the end and found her passion through fashion, whether it was designing or thrifting pieces or sewing fabric and making them entirely on her own. She's really cool, and I'm very excited to record this interview, so enjoy. Okay, so Kathleen's here. Say hi, Kat.
Hi.
This is like the most comfortable I've been recording a podcast yet because it's with one of my good friends.
I'm feeling very nervous for this, people. I don't know if I'm speaking loud enough into the mic. This will probably get cut out.
No, you're doing good. I'm going to keep it in.
Okay.
So, you listen to podcasts yourself, right?
I do listen to a few here and there.
What are your favorites?
I used to listen to Emma Chamberlain religiously, day after day until I caught up until her first one that she ever made. And then I kind of fell off of that, and I watched Joe Rogan. Some of you might or might not like him, but I like his open-mindedness.
The thing about Joe Rogan that I like is I don't necessarily like him as a person, but I like the people he brings on. And I like his podcast and how it's set up. But I don't necessarily, if it was just him talking, I'd be
I
like,
wouldn't want to watch it. But
he
has a good variety of people, and he, he's good at listening to them.
Yeah.
It makes a good conversation.
Because I listen to Armchair Expert, which has Dax Shepard and Monica Padman in it, and I think I love it, and I love the people they host, and I love them too as people more than I love Joe Rogan. But I think Dax does a bad job of just interrupting and commenting too much, and hopefully I don't do that because that's something I get annoyed by.
No, you have a good flow with your conversation. Also, a good one is Drew and Enya's podcast, but I watch it on YouTube.
Okay, and what do they talk about?
It's just random stuff. They always have good media recommendations at the end, and just they talk about their life.
That's fun. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm gonna jump right in. So a lot of people don't know this about you, but could assume by the way that you just live life. But you're vegan, and you have been for how long now?
I became vegan when COVID hit sophomore year. It was, actually no, I first became vegetarian before that when Evan Federley and his family quit eating meat for a little bit after watching the movie Game Changers, and it inspired me to try to do that. I think you tried to do it with him for a little bit,
Yeah,
right?
That didn't really work out, but I'm bad at commitment.
So I watched that, and then I also watched Cowspiracy is what really did it to me, because I understood more about the environmental effects that the meat industry has, and how just one person can make a small part, whether that be cutting out red meat or dairy, or just switching your milk to a plant-based milk is a good way to go too.
I think something that's interesting about you is that when you do anything, you do it full force. You don't ease.
Just like that.
She says that she went vegetarian. That maybe was a week. But you literally went from eating dairy products, meat, all of that, and then cutting it all out, going strictly vegan. Stepping stools.
The transition wasn't that difficult though, because I was completely on my own, and living in my house practically, and I could buy what I wanted grocery wise, and I wasn't going out and eating and trying to think about options in that.
You're talking about since it was COVID.
Yeah, since everyone was locked in.
So that would be the best time.
I could cook for myself and figure out what meals were easy and the best for me.
And and you went right into it, and you never broke really ever, unless it was an accident. Did you have any struggles ever with
Near the beginning, no. I feel continuing forward, the only thing keeping me in it is that I've done it for so long. I could foresee in the future becoming vegetarian if it was more of like a lifestyle, like it just became too difficult. But as of now, I'm independent enough where I can like make my own decisions of like, and am in control of like being able to eat vegan.
It's also extremely hard in Columbus, Indiana, because you go to big cities and there's so many restaurants that have so many vegan options. And Columbus is getting better at it. Like Upland has a bunch of vegan options, but like how do you manage not having a wide variety?
Here, it's more difficult, but I feel like the world in general is becoming more open to the idea of veganism and just like being plant-based as a whole and like creating more options. I feel like most places I go, I'm able to figure something out, and if not, like it's typically fine. I avoid like eating out anyway just for the fact of like saving money. Yeah. It's smarter. And so grocery shopping's a big way to like create more options for me. And then along with that, near the beginning of my like veganism journey, I guess you would say, my mom like really encouraged it, and she would take me to like Indianapolis and like fun places where we could just like see the city, maybe like thrift, and we'd go to a fun restaurant, and just to see like how those places are with the variety of their options like inspired me and like made me hopeful for the future of like any place having that.
And you mentioned your mom, so overall, was your family supportive of it?
I think my mom was more supportive just because she like knows me and how like I will do probably what I want to, and so it's not like she would be able to stop me. But my dad has been less supportive, but not in like a way where he really disagrees with it. He just kind of is stuck in his own way of thinking, so he'll like make jokes here and there about it, but he's not like really discouraging.
When he makes those jokes, you just have learned to just like brush it off.
Yeah, it doesn't affect me in any way.
So then when they make meals, like do they make meals around you or like?
Not around me, but my dad recently has become more considerate about like if he's making something, he'll like either like if he's making spaghetti or something, he'll purposely leave out the meat so if I can put just the sauce on. Stuff like that. He's been nice about it.
That's good, because I know some, like, especially in Columbus, Indiana, because obviously, like, people aren't as ahead of the times here.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of instances probably
I
where
definitely wouldn't, like, push it on to anybody just because I know how difficult it can be for someone to change their lifestyle. And I think I did it in a time where it was easy for me, so I'm not, like, encouraging anyone. But if, like, I do say that it's like a fun way to experiment with your like what you're doing in your lifestyle if you're interested in it at all. It's not as difficult as it seems, but you can make changes in any way, like try things out. I know Alexis, one of our good friends, she has tried like a few vegan things with me. I feel like it's fun to like share things with people too.
Yeah, I feel like there's like always a meme and all of that going around about how like vegans push it on you, but I feel like you don't
agree with that in any way, and just because like people can choose what they want to do. And
no, that's what I like about you, and I feel like it's more genuine that way. You never boast about it, you never post about it ever. It's like you just doing it for yourself. And so how has like going on to doing it for yourself, like body, like do you think your body has changed positively? Like the way, are you more athletic? Are you able to do more?
Yeah, so when I played soccer, I think I noticed an increase in my endurance, and which is why playing soccer and like being heavily involved in sports and athletics kind of encouraged me as well, like because I wanted to be better and I wanted to see improvements, and I feel like I was kind of stagnant. And when I did start cutting out meat and dairy and was eating like plant-based, and I feel like I was hydrating more as well, but that was just because I was more health conscious, and I feel like I improved a little bit in my play. As of now, I'm not like as heavily involved in any sort of athletics, and so I wouldn't really be able to tell you if it's helping or not. But if you do play sports and you want to see if it helps you in any way, I would say give it a go for a little bit.
There's like NFL football players that are on vegan diets because of
when I watched the Game Changers, they're like bodylifting competitors who they perform very well, win their competitions. So it's not like the stigma behind vegans being really weak isn't about like being vegan. People are weak or strong regardless in any shape or form.
No, it's like you don't just eat a bunch of plants. Like that's not
how you can do it.
There's so many proteins.
You do. I definitely recommend, if you want to do it, researching things and like watching, like listening. Find someone that you look up to that might be vegan. I'm not saying, this isn't me like pushing it on to any of you guys, but
I don't think anyone will think that.
I don't know how many people are listening, but if I do spark something in anybody, research things before you hop into it, because it can go south, and then like if you have a bad experience with it, then you'll be like, oh, I hate this. Like,
no, I feel
veganism is the worst.
I would be like, I'm going vegan and eat like pasta and olive oil and be like, yeah,
any different?
No, it's not. Like, replacing butter with olive oil, and I'm gonna still eat pasta every day. There's ways you can do it. Okay, now let's pause it.
That was good.
Okay, so moving on to the next topic. The one thing I admire about you is the fact that you have formed your own opinions and done a very good job at not listening to what your parents and teachers or whatever have told you, and you have been able to research and have a very insightful opinion about a lot of things like surrounding politics, religion, all of that. So I want to kind of go into that a little bit.
Yeah, so my parents are more traditional, and I used to believe everything they said, but I've learned to like look outwardly to form my own opinions, and I wouldn't say I'm like heavily sided either way, and I'm open to anybody's ideas as long as it doesn't involve harming anybody or just anything morally unjust. I'm against. I would say I'm more towards people having their own freedom, and I think my parents are like, my mom's pretty open-minded to things.
Yeah, I would say that too.
My dad is a strong opinionated man, but he has formed his opinions based off of information he's gathered, so I can't say that he's wrong for having his opinions in any way, shape, or form. He just doesn't like to listen to other people's opinions now, which is okay. There are people like that, and you just have to accept them for who they are. And so, I wouldn't say I'm too heavily involved in anything now, and I wouldn't like go and speak out against anybody unless they're being unreasonable.
I want to go into because you were born Catholic and you had to go through confirmation, and I remember you like telling me about you had to go to these camps and everything.
Yeah.
And I want you to kind of, because I'm not like, I wasn't born in a religious family
at all, yeah.
So I feel like I want like, how is that hard for you to kind of like navigate that, and like when opinions are kind of forced on you?
Yeah. So growing up, I was Catholic. Well, I still am. I'm confirmed Catholic. And I was never heavily involved in the church. I would go on Sundays with my families and do like youth, like the Sunday school thing for little kids. And I never went to like a religious school, so I wasn't like fully involved with the church ever. And I played soccer a lot, so we had little time on the weekend to like participate very much. And then I think it was my freshman year I started my confirmation, and this was because my dad was Catholic and is the reason why my mom became Catholic, to get married in the church. And so he wanted me to become Catholic in order for the option to be open in case I wanted to be married in the Catholic Church someday, mostly due to my grandma's wishes. And so I went through the process. It was a 2-year process, once a week, staying there for 2+ hours, learning about the religion. It was mostly like community orientated, so like I was just around a lot of kids, so I wouldn't say it was like a bad experience at all. I went to church, masses, and then there were retreats that we did where we like stayed overnight. It was mostly fun. I wouldn't say it was anything horrible. It was definitely eye-opening to see how like other people were, and I enjoy like any experience I can get. I don't look back at it and regret doing it, but I wouldn't say that I was full-heartedly into like invested into what I was doing, so I wouldn't like...
Like, would you make your kids go through that, or would you
No.
kind of let them form their own
I would
thing?
encourage them to, like... I think that faith in anything is, like, important to have just to, like, push yourself and, like, to believe in something maybe, and, like...
It provides good...
being
It gives good
spiritual
morals.
is, like, a good thing. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think religion, like, is good to make people do better in their life.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like everyone that I encountered through that experience were good people. They were good-hearted. They believed fully in what they were doing. And I did community service activities through that, which is always a good thing. And I feel like a lot of the kids there as well were in a similar situation where their parents encouraged them to do it. It wasn't their own decision. There were some, though, that, like, fully, like, were invested into that, which was also, like, inspiring to see people that were, that believed so heavily into something.
So young. I always
So
look
young.
at, I always look at people and I'm like...
It's refreshing to see people commit so fully, like, and know that they believe what they believe. And, like,
It's confusing to me, because I'm like...
To me, I can't commit to, like, one way of believing just because I know how many different, like, possibilities and ideas are out there. That's like I'd rather be more considerate of like everyone's views of it and like I guess form my own.
That's what I was saying. Like I always like struggle with religion at this age because I'm like, we know nothing. Like we still have so much more to go experience, and it's like mind blowing to me that like these kids have it all figured out. Because everyone I've talked to has been like, I don't know, like my mom didn't really get heavily involved in the church until her mother died, and like it was a traumatic, and she went to it as like somewhere to go.
Thing.
And it's like, I don't know. I feel like it's good to introduce your kids to religion, just as it's good to introduce your kids to spirituality and give them just different like options and show them that there's different things. But I feel like one thing that would differ in the way that I think my parents and your parents taught us was that if I had kids, I wouldn't force them into something like that, because I also feel like at that age forcing your kids into something just pushes them away even
I think carving your own path based off of your own experiences and learning is the best way to go about it. Like people can be they can not have any religious beliefs and have like good morals and be good people, and there can be people with like that believe religion heavily and be bad people. So I don't think it necessarily determines your how
your fate. I'm a heavy believer in like if you are a good person in life, like after you die you will be fine. Like you don't have to be heavily involved in a religion. Like if you are nice to people, if you are a good person, then like you will turn out fine. Like I don't think you don't I don't know.
And I also think that there are some people that rely on it like they live through the religion out of fear of like something going south if they're not involved in what they've been told to believe, which is if anything worse than
I see it, and you see in churches like it's a very older population, and I think as you get older, like you cling to something. You're like, oh shoot, I'm gonna die. Like I'm gonna die soon. Like I don't know what's gonna happen. You start getting scared, and I feel like religion is like a place where people can go.
Also, I do think if like for some people it's a good community, like you can build friendships out of that, and like it's a family almost if you don't have one.
And a church is nice. Everyone's nice to everyone.
Loving there, and
No, I agree with you. And I think it's a good place if people have lost someone to then connect and like try and understand that their loved one went to somewhere good and they'll see them one day, and everyone copes with stuff differently, and that's just that. Okay, so next up with like the idea of family expectations, I guess, is like having children, because I think we've talked about this a couple of times on like us kind of debating on whether we want to do that, and even like the world we live in now, like we're like on the bridge of maybe like being in a war, and so it's like having kids now, it's less of a want and need, and already you see like, I mean, like past generations, people are having kids like at age like 25, and now it's like 35, like, and it keeps on going up because it's like, well, I want to experience life before I have a being. I want to be financially stable before I have a being.
I do think it's crazy. Like, in the past, when I've thought about having kids, I was so young that I was like, I'll never want to have kids. And I still kind of have that mindset, but it's weird getting into an age, seeing people around us having kids, and like people a little bit older than us getting married and having children for their own. And it's just odd to me because it's seeing other people growing up and like almost like that's their way of like building a life. But I don't know if it'll ever be for me per se, not anytime soon at all. I get why people have, like, why the age has been getting pushed back to have kids, because people see, like, they want to consider everything before jumping into that commitment.
Yeah.
Because it used to be so traditional in the way where it was like, it's the route to go. I guess my grandma had my mom when she was 18, but my mom waited a long time to have me and my brother, which is like a different, I don't think they have any expectations for me to like, definitely not, they would definitely not want me to have a kid right now.
I feel like it all depends on the preference of the person and the person you end up marrying, because my cousin Delaney, like, her whole life was like, I don't want to be pregnant. I don't want to ever have kids. It does not seem enjoyable. I've been a teacher my whole life, and I've worked with kids, and I just don't want to. I want to be financially stable. I want to be able to just live with my husband. I'm content with that. It is a large commitment. But then her husband, she goes, but the older I get, I realize that I don't want to have kids, but my husband would just be such a great dad that I will sacrifice that so he can have a child. Yeah. And it was like, it was weird to me because I was like, it's always been a thing where like, I've thought to myself, like, do I want to? But it's like, it's a two-person thing. Commitment. Yeah.
And you're not in it alone, not like, depending on the circumstance that you're having a child in. I'm not saying that for everyone, but if you have it with someone that you love, then maybe it'd be a good path, but I don't know. I don't know where it fits into my life. I don't know where I will be going and what road will be taken, but if it falls into place, then it does. If not, then I think I'll be happy either way.
Yeah, and I think, I also think, like, as I've gotten older, too, I've moved to maybe I do want to have kids, like, maybe I do want to.
Yeah, and at this point, like, maybe in a few, like, in 10 years, I'll possibly want to, but
I've always been like, I want to go out my own.
That's just like an one little ounce of thinking compared to my past like 10 years of me being like, I will never have a child.
Yeah. So well, I've always been like, my mom would be such a good grandma. She would literally.
That's what I think.
And
too.
I'm like, she only had one child. She regrets only having one child, and like, I want to give her grandchildren, and I want her to be like young enough to like enjoy that, and so that always goes in my head.
Yeah. I do think it would be something in itself to raise a human being. Like, being able to show someone the routes of life and, like, watching them figure themselves out, it's something different. And, like, bringing that in. Like, I think it's, like, the ability for, like, we're able to just, like, bring a being. Like,
I know.
A conscious being into this world.
Yeah.
It's insane.
No, it's crazy.
It's also scary, though. Like, that responsibility.
No,
But
yeah,
also
mine's the responsibility.
Us talking about this being so young, like, of course we're not going to want to commit to something so large.
Well, let's talk about how, first of all, I would rather raise a kid with, like, I don't know. I feel like the whole idea is I wish I could live with my best friends and not live with my boyfriend.
Raising a kid with your friends would be better than anything in the whole entire world.
It'd be so fun. Like, I think Aaron would be an amazing dad, but I'm just saying
kids can sometimes cause not kids causing the complications, but parents causing complications in family
for
life.
the kids.
Yeah, and that terrifies me as well.
It'd be like raising a child with you. It'd be like a hippie child that is a genius that just kind of lives life.
I'd start teaching my kids like extravagant like words that aren't spoken in the daily.
I want my kid to learn freaking German at age 1.
Yeah, I'll be teaching them so much stuff, but that's because like the Keels did that. They taught like
okay, we can't talk about this because it's a random family, unnamed family. That was our teacher.
The actual names of shapes rather than like a kite or like the object itself.
What is it? A rhombus?
A rhombus, yeah.
I didn't know that.
So intelligent.
So smart.
She would teach them shapes with their actual name, like trapezoids and stuff like that. So then they just only knew that.
I think my boyfriend would do a good job. Like if we married at like I want my kids to like read from a young age.
Oh yeah, I'll be teaching them how to read, how to. Like writing poetry. I mean,
but we're saying this but we're saying this like that's what everyone thinks until you have.
No,
a
I'm not
child
gonna.
like,
Yeah, no, actually, I won't force them into anything.
By the end of the day, I'm gonna be like, go look at your iPad, and like I'm gonna be over it.
I'll give them the option to educate themselves if they want to, which is better because I won't force them because then they won't want to do it. But then if I give them the option and show them how cool it is
to
have the person. Knowledge. But if it's my kid, then I feel like that's what they'd want.
Let's talk about life past. This is off topic, but like this is
because recently I've been realizing how similar I am in reality to my parents. Like there's little traits, and it's terrifying.
It's so scary. I'm like, am I gonna be my dad?
The other day,
I'm gonna be my mom.
I know.
I'm gonna be my dad.
The other day, I was talking to my parents about waking up earlier to leave to go home from our spring break trip, and my mom was like, "I can never wake up that early," and I was like, "The time that I wake up does not affect how I am throughout the day. Like I'm waking up regardless."
Yeah.
And my dad was like, "You're more like me than you realize," and I was like,
"No, no, don't tell me that, please." I know every time they're like, "Oh my God, you remind me of." You look just like your dad.
I'd like to think that I have the better traits of my dad than the worst, the not as good traits.
See, I think I get my dad's bad traits.
But what are bad and good traits? It's just
but at least I can admit it.
Yeah.
At least I can admit it to myself.
I might have some bad traits that I've inherited from my dad, which is such a weird. Like as a kid, you're never gonna think that you'll inherit your parents' personalities, but you in some ways you do.
Like if me and Aaron have a child, like their nose will be just so large. Either way, they're screwed. Yeah. It's like the Wells nose gene carries strong. Like through generations. Like no matter
Wells
what.
Are known for having some large noses.
You don't have a large nose.
It's not super large, but that's because I got half of my mom's tiny little nose.
I love your mom's nose.
She's so good.
Your mom's so pretty.
She has a perfect nose.
She's okay. Anyway, we got off topic here, but I do want to talk about what you like. Obviously, this is going to be different, but I want to listen back at this, like, when I'm older and be like, oh, my God, this is funny what Savannah thought my future was going to be.
I'm going to look back at this, like, every, 5 years just to, like, see how things change and, like, how it continues to grow in my past mindset about things.
Because right now I'm looking at myself. Well, Savannah, this is where I see myself.
Because
I go to college.
Other things to worry about. Like, thinking about having kids right now and, like...
No.
It's interesting to think about, but it's not like it'll ever be in my... near future.
Tell your my life plan right now. If I'm like in my 20s, I'll live in like San Francisco or Chicago or a big city. Yeah. I'll meet a boy or I'll already have a boy. Maybe I won't settle down for a boy, but I'm saying like once I'm ready to start a family, marry, I think I might move to like Utah or like
that's
Colorado, Utah. teach my kids to ski, because I wish my parents taught me how to ski.
I want to live somewhere like when I end up settling down and decide this is the place where I want to remain, it's going to be like out in nature where there's just like a lot of peace.
But I wanted to have a good education, good school system, safe.
Us realizing we're going to live in the suburbs.
Not Columbus, Indiana suburbs.
The combination between both of like nature and
we're gonna
good school system.
We're going to freaking see each other here and be like...
Literally the suburbs, it's how it happens, because you go transition from living in your small town, go to like a big city after leaving school, and then you're like, well, I want to live somewhere that's more peaceful.
Which is fine.
But also has like resources around. This is not a bad place to live at all. I think
really,
Columbus has its quirks.
What's that duck?
The ducks. I know, I've been watching them. You know what's crazy? I've been seeing ducks everywhere now. But like a really long time ago, me and Austin made a joke about like speaking something into existence. So I said I would see 2 ducks in a boot a long time ago, and ever since
2 ducks right there.
Ever since I've been randomly seeing ducks.
That's really strange. I haven't seen ducks since we've moved here. Like there's a freaking duck.
Yeah,
like when have you ever seen a duck? But like a duck with a green head,
it's a traditional
and
looking
a
duck,
yellow like whatever that's called.
So much. What is it called? The
buck.
A beak. That specific type of duck is like a.
It's really...
Some bird experts.
They all hang out because Dad has the bird feed. Dad has the bird feeders. And look, all the bird feed like falls down because the chipmunks... Okay, we're getting way off topic.
I never see ducks in Tipton. I always see geese. The geese are something else.
Okay, let's kind of end it
on future careers and like what we foresee in our future.
I want to know where you're at with your future.
Okay, I'm actually becoming more excited because my whole life I was kind of like really committed to the idea of going into the medical field, because I was just like, yeah, I'm interested in like the functionings of the body and like science in general, and I thought it would be the way to go. And then after spending 4 years through our medical like coursework, I realized this might not be for me, like working in that environment, and like I've opened up to more creative possibilities because I've like become more in touch with that, and I've enjoyed that a lot more. And I still love sciences and I love learning and all of that, but it just seemed like a very large commitment, and it can turn south so easily. And so I was like, maybe I'll major in psychology. I thought that would be interesting. It's like, no, I want to, and just now I'm switching into marketing. So that's what I'm majoring in. And I think it'll create a lot of possibilities like with future careers, and you can work for a company for a little bit. I'll like build a good foundation, and then maybe one day, my dream since like I was little, I was like, I've always wanted to have my own coffee shop.
Yeah.
And live above it. But that's like not...
That's doable for you.
It's doable,
You'd
but
be
it's
good
like,
at that.
But I'm also like, my thing is I wanted to have a coffee shop where I could then create pottery in it and then create my own like ceramic mugs.
I wish we went to Red River Gorge, because there was literally
a coffee shop like
the
that?
Airbnb we stayed at was above a coffee shop, and there was pottery
also,
inside of it.
It's so like that. Also, investing in like houses and stuff like that's a really good idea. Like having an Airbnb that you can rent. My aunt and uncle were thinking about doing that, renting a condo that they could.
That's what my parents do in Franklin.
It's smart, yeah.
It's completely paid off. It's like just income. It'll be income for them too. That I think, like what you guys don't understand about Kathleen is that she is insanely smart. I'm convinced you have a photographic memory. You do. Kind of.
I think I used to have a better memory than I do now, though.
Like, she would go take an anatomy test, stare at some skeleton with like 50 different vocab words,
I'm good at
stare at it for 5 minutes,
studying, but it all leaves me after the, like I can stare at something for a short like.
It's crazy though. It's such a talent.
To like redo it, but
and
it's
so,
not like
Kathleen is insanely smart. So I think her whole life, her parents have pushed her to the medical field, because it's like, I think
the
people that are
ideology behind like what smart people do.
Yeah,
like,
and she went through the whole pathway of East, took every single class, and then realized like, what am I doing? And it was like junior year when you realized you didn't want to do this, but you're like, well, now I'm stuck in this program. My parents are probably going to make me still do it. I've already done 2 years of it. Like, might as well keep on going and get technical honors.
My parents were really accepting of it, though. Like, once I told them that the medical path was not for me. My mom works at the hospital, so she's into that type of stuff. And so I thought I would disappoint her, but I was mistaken, and she's fine with whatever I choose to do.
Especially in this day and age, it's so hard to go into the medical field. And, like, the amount of schooling,
so many people do
if you don't
it's really
love it, if you don't
have
love
to have a
it,
love for whatever you want to do to make it into something that's that competitive, because if you don't have something motivating you, then you will fail.
No, but not even that. Like, if you don't love it,
if you're not pushing yourself to be the best in it.
And it's so many years of schooling that, like, if you don't love it, you're just literally going to be depressed for 10 years. And it's like, it's not
the best way to go.
And I think you would be so good at just like she's so good at any sort of sciences and all of that. And like trying to find a mix of like the business side of like pharmacy, like like the business side of maybe selling medical equipment, or like there's so many like ways that you like a business degree and a marketing degree can like help you
into anything.
Yeah,
it's applicable in like any type of career field.
Yeah,
which is nice. It's open to so many things.
And I want her to go to IU with me, because right now marketing is number 3 in the nation. At Kelly. So she could be direct admit in Kelly with her scores and everything, and so she needs to come.
I waited too long to switch.
Yeah,
my mind was not made up until it was too late. But it's okay. Things will figure itself out.
One thing about me and you is, like, first of all, we procrastinate and we just don't. We are so bad at decision making.
Making decisions.
So bad.
But it's like, it's because you know what you really want to do, but you're also afraid of like it not possibly being.
Yeah, you're afraid to take that jump.
Yeah.
Because you know, like for you, you knew you were good at medical, and so it was like
reassuring in the fact that it's like I could be successful at this, but is it something I want to do?
But it's like you're so smart that you could use your smartness anywhere. Like you would be like in accounting, you use stuff like but
I feel like your personality fits really well for the business world.
No, but so you have the analytical mind. Like you have the you have a good mind for it too.
Yeah. I think anybody can do whatever they'd like.
Yeah, as long as you like work hard for it. And I don't know. I feel like no matter where you're planted,
that's kind
you'll be
of how
fine.
my mom was. She's like, pick whatever you'd like as long as it's something that you will strive to do your best in, and you have like, it's kind of reliable in a way. Like you won't have to stress your whole life.
Yeah. No, that's good advice.
Which is
like what we like. The whole like bringing it back full circle moment is just like you need to like just do what's best for you. Like when it comes to religion, politics, everything, like do what fits you.
Also, everyone just take a deep breath if you're listening. End of the quarter is crazy. Crazy times.
For us, end of GPA's frozen big.
End of high school. Things are coming to an end, but also other things are opening up. So,
everyone. Motivational speak.
Motivational, question mark. Me and Savannah will just start a TED Talk. Everyone,
they'd be like, why are we listening to these people?
People that are so unqualified to be telling us how to live our life. This is my thing. Don't listen. Like,
don't use us as.
Don't really take what we're saying as like written into stone and don't live by it.
No, I feel like they're gonna listen to us and be like, oh, they don't have their stuff figured out. They're not gonna be
it might be reassuring listening to us speak for your own self and
also, do you notice that we interrupt each other so much because we know what each other we've been friends for so long that we know what each other is gonna say next, and we've already finished the sentence in our minds and we've already moved on.
Yeah.
Like, when all of us really and Alexis, like, when we speak, like, I see Alexis mouthing the words that are about to come out of my mouth. This is me nodding along, waiting for what she's about to say to end to begin my next thing that I'm saying. Because I know exactly what's happening. Jordan was like, you, Kathleen. Like, sometimes Jordan, Alexis' sister, will be like, we'll be talking, all of a sudden she'll be like, I hate you. And I'm like, why? And she'll be like, you're Alexis. Like, you're talking like Alexis does. It's so funny. I know. Okay, we should probably end it. This will be my good podcast that is easy to follow along with. I feel like I stress so much because
starting the podcast is so scary.
Not that.
For me.
I have really bad ADHD, undiagnosed, self-diagnosed.
Self-diagnosed
Slash undiagnosed ADHD, where I can't do something without having something else playing in the background. Like anytime I'm doing homework, The Office or something is playing. So recording a podcast is the hardest thing for me because I have to put my full attention into one thing, and
which
I physically can't do that.
Which is probably good for you to have a second person on there.
I know.
Because then it's like the bounce back kind of keeps you on your toes.
That's why I was like, I need Kathleen on here because, I need someone on here that I'm comfortable with to start this again because I was, my third quarter, I was stressed out. I was working on my senior paper and just everything, and so I took a break from it because, honestly, I'm not going to do something like this if I'm not, motivated to do it, or it's just not going to be good. The product just isn't going to be good. But I was like, it's a good way to start it off, doing it with one of my friends that I'm comfortable talking with. And I don't know. I couldn't do it any other way. Okay. We should end this.
And I need to go pee. So.
Okay.
Perfect.
Bye, guys. Thank you for listening so much. We love you so much. Say goodbye, Kat.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to Kat and me ramble on. See you later.